Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. My name is Steven, and this is the Storytime channel. Today we have some malicious compliance stories, and our first story of the day is by Blacklight Starlight. Write a 10-page essay because I was on the phone. Disclaimer, this happened back when I was around 12 to 14. Due to medical issues, my memory is not very reliable, but does come in spurts, so some of the details may be fuzzy. So this happened during a drama class around either my junior high or early high school years. Now, my school was in a small town where, at the time, all the sectors of the school, elementary, middle, etc., were in walking distance of each other, with the old middle school used as an administrative building. Behind that is where the drama building was. I say this to show why it wouldn't have been possible for the drama teacher to just get another teacher to watch the class while he made this call. We all come in and sit in the semicircle of chairs just to kind of wait and talk amongst ourselves. Well, I just kind of sat there quietly. I didn't really have friends in the class. Before Mr. Drama comes in on his phone. Mr. Drama says nothing to us as he just gets on the school line phone and continues this call. Okay, so you have a bunch of kids in there with nothing to do. People start playing hangman on the board. I joined in, of course. Those who had data on their phones were hiding in the corner texting or on their internet, just basically passing our last period class time any way we could since we hadn't been given instruction. Now, I remember we were getting loud with him on the phone, but not once did he even act like this was a problem. Until he hung up and yelled for us to sit in our seats. This was where he proceeded to lecture us about manners, etiquette, and a whole bunch of other BS while we just sat there shocked, as he blatantly said he expected us to just sit there and wait for instruction. We are at 10 minutes left for class at this point, I believe, and classes ran up to 50 minutes to an hour. This is where he breaks to us that he expected us to come in next class period, which was the next day, with a 10-page essay on manners and how to behave in classrooms. He also said this would count for 25% of our grade. Then he just left. Now all of us were angry. Some were saying, let's just not do it, but others knew their parents wouldn't allow it, and they always found out. I think he sent an email about it, I don't remember. Others were joking about it, just writing the words F you over and over again. I remained quiet and just smiled as I came up with an idea. As I said, I don't have a lot of memory of back then, so I don't recall if I told anyone of my plan, but this is where my malicious compliance comes into play. I go home and talk it over with my mom. She can be an entitled parent, but always picks and chooses when to side with the teachers. After hearing my side, she asked me what I wanted to do. I told her I was going to write a 2-page paper calling him out, hidden under what he wanted. She grinned and told me to use her office at home as it had Word on it and she could help me format it. I feel older than I should saying this. Side note, I always excelled in English, so grammar and the like were never an issue for me. But it was just around the beginning of high school the school started noticing that I had signs of dyslexia. I had just always made high grades and had someone double-check my work, so it was never noticed until my AP courses. It's weird. With this in mind, I began writing a hugely passive-aggressive paper using all the knowledge I had up to that point. It included scenarios that depicted ours, but showed that the fault could lie with both parties, as the teacher never gave instructions to the students, and metaphors and similes and everything. Treating it like a paper I would seriously turn in. I did not go over my 2-page mark I gave myself. My entire plan was to point out that yes, we could have acted better, but we are kids and he is an adult who gave no instruction to us. Mom checked everything, made suggestions, printed it out, and kicked me out of her office to work on accounting. The day of the turn-in comes and only a few of the students actually did the paper while others stood their ground. That doing it meant they were at fault, which no one blamed them for. He expresses his extreme disappointment in the lack of obedience as he reads someone's paper out loud. Then he gets to mine and looks confused as it's only 2 pages. Probably because I'm a notorious teacher's pet. So he began reading. As he is reading, you can hear in the tone of his voice that he realizes the paper is calling him out on his false anger. And I'm just feeling proud of myself, grinning. I'm a normally shy person that never speaks out against anyone, especially a teacher, yet here I was. He finishes reading and goes really quiet. Everyone is quiet too. He still has a handful to read, but he sets them down and sighs. He admits the paper makes a good point about misplacing blame and not taking it, and he excuses himself from the room, asking us to stay seated this time. I just remember a few of my peers saying, "Way to go" and "Good job," and that alone made this little introvert feel really special, if only for the rest of the day. Mr. Drama ended up throwing the papers away, giving extra credit to anyone that turned it in at least, and was just extra careful to always tell us what to do before making any more calls like that in the future. The next time I stood up to a teacher was in another high school I transferred to later. He was a sexist preacher, and I maliciously complied to him in front of the entire school using his own Bible verses against him as a female. But that's a story for another time. Stay safe. That's really a sign of a good teacher, being able to recognize that they were actually in the wrong, and not taking it out on the group of kids when it probably would have been very easy to do so. If you had a teacher do this to you and assigned a 10-page essay out of the blue due the next day, would your parents be expecting you to get that done? Or would they side with you that it's unfair? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next story is by Van City Ace. Take shifts I said I can't take? Sure. Background, year was 2012 or 2013. I worked at a casino where majority of employees are unionized. Our shifts are changed every 3 months based on company needs. 7 years at a casino since high school, did some schooling here and there. They've let me grow and keep my employment. I pretty much feel like I owe the casino plenty, since if it weren't for this casual job, I wouldn't be where I would be now in terms of career and investments. Whole other story. I was also one of their few people who can deal various Omaha games and tournaments. I have enough seniority to work part-time, graveyards, or mornings. Likewise, I also finished my schooling a year ago and secured a position that I wanted in a company I wanted to grow and have a career with. Story, we were now required to pick our shifts for the next 3 months. I was previously a part-timer for weekends and nights. Gave them a heads up that I'm currently working a 9 to 5 at an office nearby and unable to work during the day shift Monday to Friday. When it was my turn to choose my shift, I was advised I have to choose a day shift during the day. Well, being livid and annoyed was the start of it. Practically told them I can't work those shifts and will not be able to work those shifts. Mentioning if I get those shifts, I will be calling in sick. Lo and behold, I was forced to take shifts I can't do. Well, I told HR that I can't work those shifts, and if I take them, that I will be calling in sick. Know what HR said? If I don't take the shifts, I will no longer be working at the casino. I practically said, "Okay," shrug, and HR lady was dumbfounded. Fast forward a month and the new shift starts. I call in sick every weekday from the stairwell from my day job. I didn't give any BS excuse, just said I can't work due to previous arrangements. After a month of this, get called in with HR, poker manager, and shift manager asking why I keep calling in sick. I flat out said, "I told you why I can't work these shifts. I told you what I plan to do if I get these shifts." HR was quiet. Poker manager was quiet. At this point, I felt like I'm the one doing them a favor. That, and I liked the work environment, the people, and players I worked with. Well, I was asked if I'd like to resign, and to their amazement, I said yes, but I had to train people with Omaha and tournament games. So for 3 to 4 years after my resignation, I would come back in for 2 to 3 weeks at a time and assist them with their poker tables. It's really quite odd that they were so reliant on OP for specialized work, but yet was so willing to fire them because they couldn't make day shifts, instead of working around it. That must be so awkward for employees to see this person that was basically forced to resign, but still have them keep coming in to work the Omaha tournaments and tables and whatnot. It's like, did you fire them or not? This next story is by Leviathan41911. Not even the CEO can do it. Okay, let's find out. This is from a long time ago, but I thought I would share. I bought a laptop from a large Fortune 500 company. We will call this company Bell Computers. After about 2 years, the hinges on the laptop broke and it was almost, but not quite, out of warranty. I called the service center and they refused to replace it. I called, got the runaround, and each time they refused to fix it or even send me the part. Eventually, I was speaking with a low-level customer service manager, and I told them I would keep trying to escalate this until someone honored the warranty. Then he replied, "You can escalate this all the way to the CEO and he wouldn't even do it." Well, it was at that moment it clicked. See, I used to work for Bell Computer Company. I didn't know the CEO, Mr. Bell, but while I was employed there, he would occasionally send mass emails out to the staff. The email was also a combination of initials and names, so it was easy to remember. Alright then, let's play. I hung up the phone and drafted an email to Mr. Bell, CEO of Bell Computers, just like the helpful customer service rep said I should do. I wrote in the email about being a former employee, how the runaround with customer service was awful, how I just wanted the part to fix my laptop. The next day, I got a phone call from Mr. Bell's executive assistant. I spoke with her for about 15 minutes about everything that happened. She took my info and my computer service number and said she would forward it to the VP of customer service. I got an email the following day saying the part had shipped. It's not always the easiest to reach these highest of high people, especially if they don't allow for a platform to reach out to them. But when you can at least get it seen by people remotely working for the CEO, it can often lead to great results. I've heard a number of stories like this. Our next story is by Machiavelli 3060. Try telling a queer scientist that he has no choice. My husband, Chad, is naturally a better decorator than many professional designers that have their own shows. Years ago, when he lived in an apartment complex, the rental office staff became aware of how beautiful he decorated his apartment. It really was award-winning, literally. Anyway, the apartment manager notified Chad that his apartment was to be the model going forward. Chad was not happy with this development. Strangers moving through his personal areas, going through his things, possibly stealing things? Unacceptable. The apartment manager was quick to mention that this was part of Chad's lease. Suddenly, an idea occurred to Chad. "Are you allowed to move or cover up anything in my apartment?" "No, sir, we are not allowed to touch, move, rearrange, or cover up anything." "Thank you." Chad put up every piece of male erotica he possessed. And he even bought some more. Posters, figurines, serious art, even a pile of magazines found out on the coffee table, like some kind of doctor's office. Chad called the rental office and warned them against bringing anyone into his apartment that was a child, or squeamish about such subject matter. The rental office immediately sent over one of their maintenance men to confirm. Check and mate. I'm not judging, but how much physical male erotica did Chad have to begin with? Although they bought more, it sounds like they had enough to really have some kind of display to go in short order. That said, this kind of thing could probably backfire pretty badly. Yes, you'll stop a lot of people from coming in, but you probably wouldn't stop the people you especially wouldn't want coming in. And our final story of the day is by Chaos2TW. Do my job and my job only? Sure. In 2003 to 2004, I worked for a call center in Idaho, and I was hired from off the call floor into the facilities department alongside the IT guy. Think primary role facilities with a junior role in IT. I didn't care for the facility role, so in my spare time, I dove into the IT side as much as possible and did work on behalf of the IT guy to keep the issues at a minimum for the IT guy. Eventually, the IT guy started complaining that I was doing his job, although that was the deal when I was hired and I was keeping up on my facilities work and the IT work. One day, I was up on the call floor imaging a section of PCs because the IT guy bailed on me after he threw a fit over something. I can't remember what. This day, there happened to be an executive on site, and she asked the site manager why the facility guy was doing IT work. I was told to only work on facilities issues. Cue malicious compliance. All of my work from that day forward came in the form of a ticket. No ticket, no work. 75% of the time, I was chilling in my office watching a movie while the IT guy was busting his butt. Turns out they needed my help, but wouldn't let me. Eventually, the IT guy was let go for underperformance, and I moved into the role full-time. Had the guy not complained about helping me, he may have kept his job. To be fair, if the facility guy was able to do all the stuff the IT guy was doing and the facility's work, the IT guy's job was probably redundant to begin with. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today, so if you have a favorite story of the day, let me know which story and why in the comments down below. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like, and if you haven't, subscribe and turn notifications on so you'll never miss an upcoming video. No matter what you do, whether it's just viewing the video, liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, I appreciate the heck out of it. Every little thing that you do helps the channel grow that much more, and I can't thank you enough for it. So, until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll be right here next time on the Storytime channel.